When a physical pathway in the human brain is permanently destroyed, conventional medicine often hits a wall. Once those fragile neurological bridges collapse into the dark, what invisible force is capable of stepping in to save a person? For decades, the boundaries of medical science have been remarkably rigid. Once brain tissue is irrevocably damaged from trauma or disease, doctors generally cannot just grow it back. The hardware is simply broken. When faced with these hard limits, our society's default reflex is to pivot to the multi-billion-dollar pharmaceutical industry. We swallow pills with complex, unknown ingredients, accepting a cascade of side effects in hopes of finding a temporary patch. But there is a growing body of evidence pointing to a completely different kind of intervention, a biological tool that doesn't rely on synthetic chemicals, but rather on an invisible, ancient phenomenon we experience every single day. Because music is so woven into our daily routines, people tend to dismiss music therapy as a pseudo-scientific hoax. The common assumption is that listening to a song is just a subjective art form, a temporary placebo to help us relax. Nobel-winning scientist Barry Marshall once pointed out that when doctors cannot identify exactly what is physically wrong with a patient's body, they often just label the ailment as stress. Yet, as researchers look closer, they are discovering that this supposed placebo effect is anything but imaginary. It is a highly measurable biological anomaly that neurologists and psychologists are only now beginning to fully decode. Psychologist Charles Emery quantified the physical impact of sound by tracking patients in cardiac rehabilitation, testing how they responded to exercise both with and without an auditory soundtrack. This chart highlights a significant anomaly in his data. After working out, the subjects were given tests to measure their cognitive performance. The patients who exercised while listening to music scored twice as high on those mental activity tests compared to the control group. A similar pattern appeared in psychologist Francis Rauscher's research, which focused on the developing brains of children. Rauscher found that the physical act of playing and writing music directly increases overall brain function. Children who participated in music lessons showed a verifiable intelligence bump, scoring 2 to 3 points higher on IQ tests than peers who did not. These numbers suggest that music directly expands our baseline cognitive capacity and physical output. At a molecular level, specific sound frequencies function as an involuntary trigger for human chemistry, altering our internal state without requiring any conscious consent. When the human ear detects a minor chord, the brain instantly processes it as sad or dark, whereas a major chord reads as happy and light. These distinct auditory inputs trigger an immediate physical cascade of different endorphins throughout the body. Clinical professionals utilize this exact chemical response to assist individuals with severe developmental disabilities. For patients on the autism spectrum, these targeted sound sessions provide a framework for processing and expressing complex emotions they otherwise struggle to articulate. The American Music Therapy Association oversees this practice as a credentialed healthcare profession. Today, these therapists work directly alongside psychiatrists and physicians, deploying these methods in psychiatric wards, general hospitals, and hospices around the world. It is a rigorous, scientific practice successfully accessing dormant and entirely unused regions of the human brain. The ultimate proof of this mechanism can be seen in the recovery of Representative Gabby Giffords, who survived a devastating gunshot wound to the head. The trauma left her with a condition known as aphasia. The specific language pathways located in the left hemisphere of her brain had been permanently destroyed. At this juncture, traditional medical interventions had reached their absolute limit. With her speech centers gone, she was completely unable to speak. Therapists introduced a completely different approach. They targeted the undamaged, musical right side of her brain, training her to layer specific words on top of rhythm and melody. These medical scans illustrate a process known as neuroplasticity, the brain's incredible ability to physically rewire its circuitry. By utilizing music, therapy forced the brain to construct a new pathway around damaged areas, arriving at the same destination and successfully restoring her speech. Without that precise, targeted application of melody and rhythm, her ability to communicate would have remained lost forever. The primary challenge moving forward is that musical taste is intensely subjective. A heavy metal track won't offer the same soothing benefits as a classical symphony for every patient, meaning this treatment cannot be mass-produced in a factory. It has to be meticulously specialized to the individual. Yet, beneath those individual preferences, music taps into a universal, basic human need for pattern, form, and organization. As we navigate a healthcare industry obsessed with prescribing synthetic cures for every ailment, we have a clear incentive to explore these safer, non-traditional methods of healing first. Because in a culture heavily dependent on chemical pills, the most profound remedy for our deepest physical and mental wounds might just be a melody.